So let's talk about what the future has in store for Jussie Smollet, because I think the mainstream media is going to mercilessly crucify him beyond belief. Why do I believe this? Because they do that with pretty much anyone that crosses them. Take a look at the media coverage of President Trump for the last 2 years. Now, don't jump down my throat, because I don't like Trump. I'm libertarian, so don't anybody, try to box me in with Republicans or Democrats or any of that shit. Ron Paul is my guy. Always will be my guy. Or anyone who is like Ron Paul. Not his son. Don't like his son. Think Rand is a bit of a douche. That's just me. So, coming into this, Trump is unapologetically combative with the mainstream media. And the media themselves behave narcissistically. They have to, because the very second they start making mistakes and start having the public appearance of being imperfect, it's their job to get shit right. That's what they're paid to do. Get their shit right. These days, they're not doing it like they should. And in the past, the presidents of the past have long known that the futures of their political careers depend heavily on the power of the pen with the media. Make friends with the media writes nice things about you, and you don't get dragged through a shitstorm. And then here comes President Trump, who loves a good fight, and has no problems taking on the media in some very publicly toxic ways, we'll say. And the media returns the favor in kind. So they go at it with each other, and one eggs the other on. We've never been in an era like this where the president has his own newspaper, aka Twitter, and can just speak directly to the president. Not really since FDR, when he did his fireside chats in the Great Depression. It's really kind of sort of about the last time that we've had such a thing. So it's somewhat similar, but technologically very, very different. And it has thrown the media into the spotlight, and it has thrown Trump into the spotlight as a result, which is one reason why you have the merciless coverage of Russian collusion and the Russian investigation. And you got people like BuzzFeed going out there saying that Trump instructed Manafort to lie to Congress. And just at every inch of the investigations process, the media is just scrawling out dozens of pages against Trump. Why? Because Trump calls them fake news. So it's a smear campaign. You can model the mainstream media quite effectively as a narcissistic entity as a whole. So you got to aggregate them. And let me be the first to say, I know plenty of journalists. I went to school with plenty of people who went to school, became journalists, and they report the news on actual real facts, and they do their job the way they're supposed to do. It doesn't take too many bad apples to spoil the bunch. Those are the ones I'm talking about. So whenever I say the aggregate of mainstream media and journalists, I don't mean all of them. I'm just talking about the shit that boils up to the top with all the virility and toxicity that we're seeing. Okay? You can easily model the relationship between Trump and the media as a two-way smear campaign by narcissists against each other. Pick one as your frame of reference and how they treat the other, and you've got an active smear campaign by narcissists. When the media gets it wrong, and when Hollywood and celebrities get it wrong, what do? They start rolling back their tweets, deleting their tweets. They start unpublishing articles. They start publishing corrections. there have been a few times where the media have outright said something that was completely false and not published a correction. So you get these smear campaign tactics going around back and forth. And we as a nation, assuming you're in America, have, now that we've been watching this shit for 2 years, we're kind of starting to wake up to the bigger picture here, that it's all around. So now, Jussie Smollet has just wandered in to the shitstorm between Trump and the mainstream media. Just walked in from left field like, oh, hey, how you doing? Ha! And wham! Just fucking took them all for the gullible dumbasses that they are. I shouldn't necessarily say that, because he had a lot of people fooled. Some of us who have been dealing with narcissists for quite some time, we watched that interview and we were able to look at his facial expressions and think, wow, you remind me of somebody I dated, or you remind me of somebody I'm related to, or somebody I work with, right? You remind me of, you've got that overall good, crispy victim flavor, but that real narky aftertaste. You know, some of us were able to view him and cast doubt. And in the early stages, that made you a racist homophobe. And then, as more and more information came out, things were looking less and less like you're a racist homophobe. You're just an inquisitive dude. And of course, now that it's out that he basically lied to everybody, he dragged the media on their, like, through some shit for several weeks. They mad. My prediction, we ain't gonna hear shit about Trump until Smollet goes to jail. I mean, we'll hear some stuff about Trump. It's just gonna be minor reporting here and there. There's not gonna be any theatrics in the daily press briefings. Maybe a little. I'm curious to see where CNN sends good old Jim Acosta. Whether or not they send him to start covering the Smollet hearing. You know, the Smollet case really isn't all that big. It's pretty cut and dry at this point. The investigation's basically over. So we'll see from here. But my guess is that Smollet and anything and everything that he has ever touched, all of his gay lovers, everything are gonna all start coming out of the woodwork. I can promise you, the mainstream media is hard at work to bring every gay lover who's in the closet or out of the closet, but certainly in his past, bring as many of them out as possible, get as many of them to sign on to a book deal as possible, and let's just blow open the private life of a gay black man, or as I said in a previous video, a sodomite of African descent. The media is going to crucify him slowly over a barbecue pit on a rotisserie cross. They are going to be savage, no holds barred with how they tar and feather and boot him out of town, before promptly returning back to Trump and Russia. And honestly, if they've been wrong about Russia, which the investigation is still ongoing, and the smart thing to always do is to say exactly that. The investigation is still ongoing and we just don't know. My guess is Russia's probably going to lose a little steam here for a while, and the media is probably just going to quietly step away from it, because they've been going at it hard for 2 years. They had the misstep with BuzzFeed. They've had the misstep with MAGA twice now. What they're going to end up doing if they keep down this path is they're going to end up energizing Trump's support base, because Smollet has helped Trump. He didn't hurt Trump, he helped Trump. Covington High, the Native American That's helped Trump. The Covington High School kids are now categorically suing the mainstream media. I think it's the New York Times or New York Post, one of them, a single newspaper, at $250 million in damages. Fake news suddenly got very expensive. So Covington kids are going to set a precedence for culpability in fake reporting. You've got that. The whole BuzzFeed thing and Smollet. All three of these mainstream media fuck-ups put points on the board for Trump. They cannot continue to do that. So what they're going to do instead, I think you're going to see them back away from Trump and crucify Jussie Smollet, and they're going to make him the new what do you call it? The new sacrificial lamb, the new scapegoat. And I think you're going to see a lot less of Trump now for much of the year, up until the primaries and the election process again. So that's just my thoughts. But how is it now that narcissism has come to the spotlight? Why are we seeing this more and more? The answer is it's always been there. It's always been there. We've just never been looking for it. It's always been there in the media. It's always been there in journalism. It's always been in politics. That's for damn sure. But the population at large has just generally been unaware of narcissism. We're acutely aware of it now because there's been a huge spike in the incident rate of narcissism. Whereas 30 years ago, only 10 to 20% of college students registered as any recognizable level of narcissism to call them narcissistic. Now, over 70% of them are testing out to be pretty damn narcissistic. 70% of college kids. And that explains one reason why you see all the quote-unquote snowflake meltdowns, all the trigger warnings, and the free speech zones and all of that. If you look at it like a whole campus full of narcissists trying to, recover from their emotional injuries and control the situation such that everybody else is responsible for their feelings, all of a sudden, holy shit, the picture of the new generation suddenly makes sense. They're not snowflakes. They're narcissistic. They cannot handle being offended. They cannot recover their own feelings themselves when they get the feelings hurt. No, it has to be other people's responsibility to be politically correct and completely unoffensive. And they enforce this through intersectionality. So if you're offensive just because you're a man, you might not be offensive if you're a black man. But if you're a black gay man, who the hell knows? And so the rules are just arbitrarily drawn up and drafted based on your intersectional identity within group politics and within tribalism. And you can't, anything you say or do could be taken to be offensive. And when that happens, it is your responsibility to be unoffensive to whatever group it is says you're being offensive. And it's maddening because there's no solution to that. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do with this new generation of fuckos, but the world's about to be a really shitty place, in my opinion. So, anyways, that's what I got. I think things are gonna develop and need maybe one or two more videos just to take a look at mainstream narcissism. That's a good name for this, I think. I might have to do a playlist. Been a while since I've done a playlist. So, thank you very much for watching. Do please like, comment, or share. I want to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you on the next video.